you retweeted the Spot Track account based on Dallas Goedert. I think this needs some clarity, John, in Eagle land with Dallas Goedert's contract. There is a big number that still shows. There's a dead cap number that, as you always say, that's not going anywhere. That's not going to change. That's already, basically in the past. But how does it work with Dallas Goedert's contract? And do you think that changes the Eagles' approach to maybe a negotiation with Dallas Goedert? It's coming out that, they're trying to talk to Goedert, but I don't know. I mean, maybe he's gone. Maybe Matthew Berry's right. Maybe Matthew Berry's not right, and they do sign Dallas Goedert. We've yet to find that out, and we will find that out next week. But when it comes to the contract, the cap hit, the dead cap hit, and all the things that are tied up in Goedert, because they've had the player for so long and they've done a lot of things with his contract, how much does that impact the decision on Dallas Goedert here in free agency?
Well, I think what impacts the decision is if you're going to sign a similar number player, which I don't think they're going to do. So, and it's a tough market to gauge. I've been talking about with Dallas Goedert. You have the 13 touchdowns on one hand. On the other hand, he dropped dramatically as a blocker. So I don't know how teams see that, especially at his age. So is he going to get 2 years, $25 million? Is he going to get 2 years, $13 million, something like that? Then obviously the Eagles are out. But just sign David Njoku people, you would think that would be in a similar range, and it would be much better to keep Dallas Goedert, simply because of all the void years you already have on his contract, which all get accelerated, and he's still on your cap for significant money. It'd be far better to work out that same type of contract with him than an outside player, which again is how we will tell you is not a great PR move, because if you sign somebody like Njoku, that's a great PR move. But if you re-sign somebody like Dallas Goedert, it's considered, well, he's already an Eagle, so it's considered not that big of a deal, even though it's the same thing from an unrestricted free agent standpoint, and it would help you under the cap because, even though Dallas's contract expires, he's got void years through 2029. So this is how do the Eagles pay all their players? This is how the Eagles pay all their players, because they spread it out over these void years. And ultimately that credit card bill becomes due when the player leaves. So that's what you're dealing with Dallas Goedert.
John, is there any big concerns with that setup? I mean, it's something the Eagles have done for a while, and fans outside of Philly love to kind of badger Philly. I see this all the time. Hogan in the chat, he always does it, the Philly fans in the chat. He always talks about, the credit card bill is going to come. You're not going to be able to pay everybody forever. Is this something that Eagle fans should be concerned about, that the chickens could come home to roost, or is it something that's kind of malleable and how he can just continue to shake and bake, continue to push things off, continue to manipulate the cap, if you will, and keep creating the space he needs to sign the players he wants?
It's definitely malleable, but it's real, So you have as usual, you have two extremes. You have that extreme that says the chickens are going to come home to roost, the world is going to collapse. That's not going to happen. And, then you have the other extreme, which the salary cap is not real. It is real. And, if you play with it to the level the Eagles have, and part of the reason they've had this stretch is because they played with it the way they have. And what they do is they spend a lot of cash up front, and they have for the past decade before last year, more than anybody else. And you say, well, how do the Eagles do it? Well, this is how they do it. So you give them the money. The dead money, again, that's already gone. That's a Jeffrey Lurie problem. That's not a problem for anybody but Jeffrey Lurie. That money's already paid. It's gone. The cap issue is the bigger deal when you're in the moment and you're trying to obviously build your 53-man roster to 2026. And that's impactful. And you have to, that's why the Eagles have gone this route where they don't have a middle class, really. They pay a bunch of stars, and then they try to fill in with either young rookie players on the rookie deals or the 1-year Temu guys. So that's sort of the result of it's already happened. That's what's going on, in large part because of all these void years. Now, when you hit on players like Lane Johnson, most notably, they've redone his contract so many times I can't even count. Everything's fine. When you don't, then it becomes everything's about evaluation. Now they've gotten what, 8 years out of Dallas. I think he's going on his 9th year. I mean, he's in the successful category. You got a lot out of him. But if you are talking about that switch over, because I saw some Njoku stuff yesterday, that makes no sense other than if you think Dallas can't play because you're bringing in a guy at a similar number, maybe more. And you already have these void years hanging on with Dallas Goedert. So if you're going to bring somebody back at 10 million, let's use 10 million. You're better bringing him back unless you think, well, he can't block anymore or he's completely done as a football player, which I don't think. So that's kind of the discussion you have to have if you're Howie Roseman. But there's a lot of things going on with Dallas Goedert as far as forcing him to take the pay cut. Very complicated situation. Other than I know he likes it here and it's been his only professional home. I don't see many reasons to stay. And if you're doing, but again, before we came on, you were talking about Drew Dahlman retiring at 27. And we went through a little of that here in Philadelphia with Landon Dickerson. Typically, again, the normal mode is, well, Landon Dickerson's not going to give all his signing bonus money back. He's not going to walk away at 27 with $19 million on the table. Right. And plus another, he's not going to walk away. 99% of the time, that's correct. Drew Dahlman just walked away. Why? I don't know. But, everybody's different.
That's a big hit for the Bears, John.
Everybody's different. Everybody's different. Chris Borland walked away. I talk about him all the time. There's a lot of Jalen Phillips retired at UCLA. Grant Calcaterra retired at Oklahoma because of the concussion.
He almost didn't play. That's right.
Barrage of, they were scared. You had all this being thrown at you, how dangerous this was. And then, and Grant, because I talked to Grant about it, I haven't talked to Jalen about it, but, he's like, he went to, some of the top doctors in the country and they said, no, you're fine. You can play, but he didn't have that information. He's like watching the movie and reading and saying, oh, I could be and he goes, yeah. And there was that widespread fear among certain players. So, I mean, that kind of stuff is an example, but everybody's different.
John, you've been doing the AJ Brown meter of like you give the 53-47, latest it was 51-49. Can you do that meter for Dallas Goedert on returning versus going? Where is that for you?
60-40 going. But that's much higher than it was earlier. Once he took that pay cut, I was like, well, this is it. He took a $4.25 million pay cut.
Yeah. It's big.
But, from every indication, he definitely, I know he loves it here. I mean, the area and but it is a business and
he's also over 30. He probably wants to maximize his earnings.
Yeah, this is absolutely
trying to maximize their earnings.
This is absolutely his last chance to get a multi-year deal. Yeah. And I don't even know if he gets it this time. But this is absolutely his last chance. And then he's on the year-by-year program.
John, last question here before we get there. We got Mike Gill. We got Brandon Lee Gowton today. We got a full Wednesday slate. Appreciate everybody being here. Hit that like button. John, last question here in opening segment number 1 for the